kata-kata Baloy bilang game ini tentang mental game gitu, ya emang tentang mental siapa yang lebih kuat pasti bakal menang gamenya, bukan soal mekanik makro lagi.
Ini game 5 guys, mental game ini, udah fix.
Best of one.
If we play not 100% kita kalah. Jadi kalau kita mau menang, ayo kita percaya diri terus kalem aja. Kalau kita lebih kalem kita menang nih.
Sebenarnya itu mental emang penting banget. Cuman menurut gua kalau gameplaynya kurang juga sama juga bisa kalah. Menurut gua harus dua-duanya on point.
Ya kita target juara sih season ini, soalnya mereka kan season lalu udah M5 ya terus mereka mau targetin juara, mereka ingin lebih lah, nggak mau cepat puas kalau cuma MSC doang gitu.
Ya kita pasti mau buat kayak sama ya kayak season lalu, soalnya kan kita cuma beda jungler kan, terus kita kayak bisa bangun lagi kayak pas masih sama yang sebelumnya kan. Gua sebenarnya dari sebelum playoff kita udah prepare banyak banget sih. Kita emang targetnya bisa lolos MSC kan.
Ya kalau menurut gua dua-duanya pantas lah. Karena ya dari season 11 dan 12 itu kan ya Geekfam sama EVOS yang temenin gua gitu. Dan di season 13 ini antara mereka berdua juga kan. Tahu juga mereka kayak kerja kerasnya dapat banget lah. Jadi gue yakin mau antara mereka berdua pun siapapun lah pasti bisa kasih yang terbaik lah dari temen gue buat kayak lihat.
It's all about the mentality, and that was something that the general himself, Baloyski, highlighted. Now, of course, Reptar, I want to ask you a question. What is so important about the mentality of Geekfam? Because it feels like in regular season and in playoffs, Geekfam is just a whole different villain.
Yeah, for sure. You know what? For Geekfam, for Baloyski specifically, I want to give him a new nickname, Big Evil. I know there's Big Brain Baloy, but he's Big Evil right now. See the intensity in his eyes. And again, you mentioned mentality, they mentioned mentality. I got a chance to talk with Marky and the coaching staff of Geekfam, and when they would talk about other teams, when they would talk about themselves, they even repeated it, mentality. And other teams have mentioned it before. When you're shaky in a season, when you're losing, when you're not getting the results that you want, mentality, telling yourself that you will win and I will beat my opponent, that's what's gonna get you through that hurdle.
Of course, mentality is important, but of course, the way they can hold on through the game times. Mirko, of course, Indonesia has the highest average of game time in the regular season. What does this implicate?
Honestly, looking at the crazy patch, I mean, it's a very small patch, but the hotfix definitely changed a lot of things. And I think now we're seeing a lot of teams able to find a way to somehow weather the storm of the early game dominance that we've been seeing in MPL PH, MPL Malaysia, NACT, and even MPL Cambodia. And it's also the fact that the teams have gotten so much more disciplined compared to last season, compared to even the regular season where we see a lot of brawls. I remember one of the streams I had, right, I was saying Evos versus Geek leg number 1 has got to be one of the worst games I've ever watched. I remember MPL ID. And here they are with the immense level of growth. I don't know what they did, but they've been able to conquer teams who take the early game and control the death ball. Bigatron Alpha, RRQ, and for Evos, they beat the early game team. It's Liquid Aura.
Yeah, what I really like about that is that yes, there's still a lot of fighting in Indonesia, but for this season specifically, Indonesian teams have really improved how they manage the map plus the fighting. You know, Indonesian players and teams, the micro, it's there. They will fight. As Mirko mentioned, it's a brawl, and I don't mean that as an offense. But then they improved how they time it with the minion waves, where it's pushing. They make sure to manage the minion waves first. Make sure to watch for the timers of key objectives. There's a lot of fighting, but it's so that it can lead to advantage in objectives.
And I would say, speaking of the advantage, you know, this is something Evo's Glory have had throughout the playoffs. You can see it on the camera earlier, on your screen. The fans, I think, have been one of the big factors as to why they were able to hold their ground, weather the storm in the early game.
100%! That's a tiger!
Every single victory, Reptar, every little win, they could get a lethal wanderer and the crowd will go wild. They'll start yelling, they'll start chanting any little comeback moment, and they hype it up like there's no tomorrow. And they've been doing this for 4 days in a row. They can do it for 5 if they make it out of hell against the Geeks.
Wow, wow, wow. The fans are behind. But of course, towards the drafting phase we go, presented by the official tournament smartphone, Samsung Galaxy S24 series. Reptar, what can we expect from the draft, considering that Geek Fam do have a lot of cryo picks that they want to play? What do they trade in this drafting phase?
So off screen, we were talking about it beforehand. Geek Fam would be a team that would love to prioritize the global presence. So of course you're gonna pick up the Lo Yi, but we know Lo Yi is one of the most disruptive mages in team fighting. Her shielding to herself, those little crowd controls when she gets to suck everyone in with that vacuum with the rotation and the dispersion. It will throw off a team like EVOS when they love to team fight, when they have heroes that love to dive. The Roger gets picked up here, and now I'm thinking, are they going to rush to Yuzong this early on for Fluffy? A pick that can dominate in lane, a pick that you will need to make sure you get early control against Luke in the EXP lane.
You need to get that early control, and I think for the most part, every EVO's opponent in the playoffs have been able to just target Fluffy down on that expert particularly. He was able to find so much success in the regular season, and that's why he was a pillar in this team. The team could be losing, but Fluffy will be winning. He'll be able to consistently stay on top, getting the advantages, and then allocating those advantages from his lane to the other lanes. Through damage, through CC, even on Terizla we see that, but now it's kind of a mix. You have disengage, you have that pickoff, and a little bit of pure CC to go for pickups.
Oh, also respect,
Early
right?
phase.
From that Ruby pick.
Yeah.
Denies it away from the hands of Beloyski or Luke, but take a look at the response here. Masha. We expected a Masha second phase, but you know what, Geek Fam? Let's pick it up quickly with the help of the Fredrin and no Novaria to close it out.
What are EVOS trying to trade here? Because Masha is a very strong pick for Geek Fam. The way Luke plays this is so immaculate, especially when you have a Lo Yi, that mobility that could just enable you to re-engage, disengage. What are EVOS trying to achieve? Considering that they gave Geek Fam 2 strong picks.
So the idea for EVOS right now, the fact that they're taking away the Ruby from Luke and then Beloyski, and then they pick up the Novaria themselves, it's control. Not necessarily crowd control, but controlling the map, controlling the tempos in team fighting. In MPL Philippines, we call Ruby as one of the tempo breakers for team fights. A quick don't run Wolf King, a quick use of the ultimate, if not for engaging, for disrupting opposing team fights, is really great up against Geek Fam. But I don't like how EVOS gave up that Masha. I feel like that might be coming back to haunt them later in this game.
I also hate the fact that they picked Novaria into that Masha, right?
Yeah.
The Roger's already a problem because you won't usually go for the with the nature on the Roger. The duration is cut short on that, and especially now the Novaria. So two good targets that the Masha could just look for, especially with that diversion, giving him so many more angles to flank, to find these insane assassination attempts.
Yeah, that Lo Yi and Masha, you're going to be sending a nuke. That's a one-man nuke later on. And if that's Luke, that's a nuke Luke.
They banned out the Kanja from EVOS. I'm wondering, how do they deal with this Masha and its, you know, proficiency to just roam around the map, get those one-shot kills, especially when you have a Novaria in the backline. Sure, it does have that mobility, but the Masha will just ram down this Novaria. How do they deal with this Masha?
Okay, they're gonna need another frontliner with a great sense of control. The Ruby can't be the only frontline here, and then they're gonna have to do that thing where they juggle. That's a frontliner right there. That might not be the peeler, so I'm guessing the Baksha might be a little bit more of the frontliner, while the Ruby staying in the middle of the formation, using the Don't Run Wolf King and the I'm Offended as well, just to throw the Masha off her game.
I think now there are two ways to really take it for EVO's glory. They can double down on that front-to-back composition that they have with the Novaria and the Roger. They already have pretty good peel, good catch on the Baksha as well, good clear speed. But if they want to double down, then go for even more defense, like a Terizla. You can use the penalty zone defensively, stop a lot of the momentum that Geek Fam can utilize in these team fights. But another way is fight fire with fire. Go Yuzong, go and dive the back line before they can dive yours.
Geek Fam, I feel like they're enjoying this drafting phase. They have strong heroes, especially favoring their own.
The Bigatron way.
But they have picked up the Esmeralda. What is EVOS trying to achieve with this Esmeralda?
Right, I'm trying to look at, is it the shielding? Because it seems like partly it's just gonna get exploded. There's a lot of shields that you can steal, but it's not the control that I'm looking for right now. It might be difficult to take down, but I wish they picked up more crowd control. So I'm kind of scratching my head, because now up against the Edith, up against a lineup that has a Ruby, Geek Fam should be very happy right now.
I have to agree with that. You know, Geek Fam, I think, are very, very happy with their composition right now. And, you know, fun fact, we were talking about the two XP laners early on in the pre-match, but in the banning phase, it was both the roamers who got most of the attention. Beloyski got 4 bans towards him, and Mr. Dreams, Tigreal Minotaur, the Angela, 3 bans to Dreams.
Who will hold hands with the Sky Kings? The Velodrome will be the witness. Will it be EVOS or will it be the Villains Geek Fam? All here in the first game of the lower bracket final. Geek Fam against EVOS Esports.
The land of dawn, we go.
Welcome to Mobile
Who will
Legends.
strike first in this best of 5? Again, let's see here. Spell check. Is it standard?
Wow, they're gonna start, especially same in the orange buff. Now, what are the rotation achievements coming from both junglers, Mirko?
Both are going to go for an opposite path. Annabelle towards the bottom lane, trying to play perhaps for that strong side, and Brands in this winning matchup against the Claude. And while I take a look at the emblems, I want to take a look at the battle spells as well that you mentioned. Lethal Ignition is still very standard for Luke on this Masha. Wants to deal as much damage as he possibly can, and it's that glass cannon build that we've come accustomed to now for that Masha on the hands of Luke. Chidera, though, very interesting Master Assassin for this Claude in the weak matchup up against that Roger, who also has a Thrill and the Master Assassin. One thing, though, that we can talk a little bit about is Chidera going for that agility. So for Geek Fam, maneuverability has got to be their #1 source of keys to victory. Is that it? I mean,
What?
What?
Out of nowhere, Annabelle with the rotation, but take a look at this. Geek Family wants to punish Annabelle. 2v1 Dreams with the cover as well, but the damage will not come through. Ray, Appraiser's Wrath will secure that kill. Ray now caught in 2v1. Good cover by Mr. Greed there, and it will be Fluffy disengaging.
In a blink of an eye, 1-for-1 trade happened down top in the jungle, up top in the jungle. And that was a trade where Ray was able to get himself a kill. So did Annabelle. So both junglers now, we could say online, but Annabelle had to concede 1 death to his name.
And that was really good for Evo's Glory initially, right? They wanted to use this tempo with the winning matchups that they have. The Baksha that will clear faster than the Fredrin, the mid-control of the Navaria, and the Ruby, plus the Esmeralda that will be winning in the lane. But the fact that they lost 1 member as well, that's going to halt that early game from going all the way and building up to a big snowball for the side of Evos. Luckily, they got that level 4 advantage.
Let's see here again. Beloyski looking for a cover. Ray secures the turtle comfortably. Beloyski now looking for an escape route. I'm offended. Connecting on towards Sue. Beloyski will fall. Now they're looking towards Ray. Ray has a dash, and that will be it. 1-for-1 to kill for a turtle.
EVOS will scoot out from the war zone. Sure, Geek Fam was able to clench their fists and get that turtle. But what does it mean now for Geek Fam? How do they want to operate in the early stages of the game?
Well, all they need to do is weather the storm. It's kind of a scaling composition, Geek Fam. And it's kind of weird to say that when you have a Loyi, a Fredrin, and an Edith. But yeah, they're really waiting for the mid-game. Luke needs that BOD, needs that Malefic Roar. Onward.
Onward to Earth, Shatter Dreams in a no man's land. Not even has time to pop that flicker. Diversion play. Wow. Grands reads it.
That's the brilliance, right, of this composition for Geek Fam, because yes, they need to scale, but that doesn't mean they can just look to scale. They can also look for a snowball themselves. They have the right amount of pick-off with that Onward on this big Edith pick with the Primal Wrath as well. Stops a lot of the momentum from Evo's Glory. They kind of want Evos to dive on them. So if Evos can't get a substantial lead at the start of the game, Geek Fam will take control. But if Geek Fam get a substantial lead, they will death ball.
Scary.
The death ball is scary because they have a lot of heroes that could just enable their movements, especially in the lanes. You have a boy with the diversion plays. It's always going to be ready when you also have Luke on the standby. He's this independent XP laner that could also carry the game, and when he is online, gets his items, the power spikes keeps on running, he will be the one trying to tame the White Tigers. And now EVOS, how do they deal with this composition?
I think the way they do it is utilize these neutral objectives to create space to go for these pickoffs, and mainly they need to utilize these winning lanes. At this point, if Geek Fam have so much presence for the neutral objective, they might have to look for other ways to take advantage of the game. They can go towards the bottom lane. Brands is doing a very, very good job. Has the Master Assassin as well. Maybe look for a pick on Chidera, stop him from scaling, get that turret in the bottom lane, and then utilize the map control that you get.
I'm offended. Flicker connecting all towards one. Flicker's out though from a boy. Annabelle, who wants business, taunted, will disengage from Geek Fam in Evo's Glory now. Perhaps looking for another angle. No, Geek Fam does not give that angle.
great Astral Sphere to end that skirmish with. But it seems for now, Evo's Glory will be halted a bit from going for that neutral objective. And again, for Geek Fam, they are fine. They are happy with this. They want to try to wait for those big items. And Luke, he's on the way. One step closer to the BOD Milfic combination that will be his big power spike.
Turtle contest, of course, ongoing now. EVOS, they have Fluffy up top, wanting to help them as well. So this could be a 50-50 now. EVOS, of course, they want to try to contest this because they're down one objective. And Geek Fam looking to snowball with this advantage. Conceal play could mean something.
Yep, Geek Fam will take their time. Thunderclap towards Klongkun. It will be enough to take him down. Ray, though, on the other side, takes the turtle. Good ground control, and that's another kill for a boy. 2 members for nothing. Nada. And to add to that, Luke is still going crazy towards the backside of Rans. Almost taken down.
Diversion.
1,000 gold lead. And that's another turtle, though, for Geek Fam.
That is the main fear of this Masha, is the fact that it can just run down and dive down bottom. It's insane.
It's ridiculous, right? You can use all the words for it. Chidera? Ooh, quick jukes.
BMI, though, still there. Dreams not have space to somehow catch him.
Annabelle got his ankles broken right there. Chidera just ran around, and you can see that agility come to fruition. The mobility, one of the keys to victory for them, if they're able to just maneuver these little side steps away from Evo's Glory's pick-off potential. They have an I'm Offended, easily dodged, Shield Unity as well. Meanwhile, let's go back to that Novaria pick, because I think me and Renmar, we said, yeah, we don't like the Novaria pick. This is a perfect game for the Masha. It's the Roger and a Novaria. And we are seeing it so early on. Luke only had the Heptases, yet he was able to take Klongkun down like there was nothing.
Oh, uh-oh. Klongkun, good night, baby. 3 on. My goodness. 3 members will take him down. Annabelle with the Shield Unity, perhaps looking for a trade. 3 for 3 in that purple buff pit. But no, Dreams flickers out of the way. That will not come through. Primal Wrap will try to trade Dreams down. He is green. He finds one, but Rans will fall on the other side as well.
The villains keep on their momentum. This is our place. This is hell, and it's starting to burn up for EVO's Glory.
The heroes are not doing well, not in the first game at least, of this lower bracket final series. And momentum has been the name of the game in this playoffs of Season 13. Ray, with this steal on the Baxia, he's gotten what he wants. The Fredgen should be behind against a Baxia at the 7th minute of the game. This early phase belongs to EVO's Glory, and that death ball isn't growing for them. It's growing for the Devils of the lower brackets.
Oh, the flanks, man, is so beautiful. Eltic with the crowd control. A boy selects the turtle. Now Fluffy running for the hill, but the thunderclap will connect, and Luke claims the double.
Wow, it's just full-on brawls left and right, and it's gonna be Luke, of course, leading the charge with his very fists. EVOS are just being run down.
It's ridiculous the way Geek Fam have been able to utilize that very small early game lead, and now Luke has a BOD at the 8th minute. I just want to give you guys a little bit of a comparison up against Fnatic Onic yesterday. The first game on that Masha, when he was able to come back and get the player of the game 4-8. That was a very late BOD. 11th to 12th minute of the game. So the fact that he got a BOD at the 8th minute, you know what he likes to build after this first BOD. It's a Melfic Roar. But this game, he might just go double down on 2 BODs, straight up.
That's 2 ouches.
Two owies, massive owies.
A massive damage, of course. It's gonna be circulating in the hands of Geek Fam. It's starting to bleed for the White Tigers. It's still in the 9th minute, so I feel like EVOS needs something as an answer. But can they stem the bleeding? And look at them just corralling in the jungle of EVOS.
Not enough damage, even Annabelle could not soak in the damage. Oh, take a look at the backside. Ray looking for a kill. Annabelle survives somehow with the Shield Unity. But now, with the flank from Fluffy, it actually somehow bought them time, distract them.
Look at the constant pressure coming in from Geek Fam. EVOS, they have to try to reclaim that control of the jungle to enable them to mobilize, especially when they want to prepare themselves for these little skirmishes. Now, of course, the question again, how do they stem this bleeding?
Oh, man. I'm finding it difficult to find ways to stem this bleeding. It just feels like they're going to bleed out eventually, you know? It feels inevitable with this death ball going for Geek Fam. Evos needed that early game badly, because if you can see from Brand's items as well, well, people back at home can't see, so I'll just let you know, Windtalker in an endless battle, he's forced to go for this Windtalker build and not the attack speed build because he's up against so much mobility. He needs the extra mobility from the Windtalker. He needs the true damage in that endless battle, and perhaps he might go for a full defensive build with a Thunderbelt too. At this point, it makes sense. Geek Fam have so much damage that Evos might have to just hold on and wait for a mistake. Clockon as well, man, he's severely underfarmed compared to a boy. It's a 1,000 gold lead in the mid lane. And that's a Lo Yi. Even if Lo Yi is behind, he usually is able to match up in damage to a Novaria in the mid game. Oh, with a boy having this 1,000 gold lead, bro. Anyone who walks up, all the frontliners, even from Evos, they're finding it so difficult. They're struggling real hard to itemize. They don't know what to build. Someone has an Athena shield, someone has a Dominance Ice, someone has a Radiant Armor, but they need to choose one. They don't have enough money at this point of the game.
Wow. Now, Lord, whoa, divergent play.
Again, on towards Dreams. Such a shame, and they want more. Annabelle now immobilized, looking for an escape route. Oh no! Ray is there to boink him down. That's 2 members out, 5v3. Things are not looking good for the White Tigers.
Annabelle ain't rolling. The only one rolling is the death ball of Geek Fam, Luke.
Oh, Luke the nuke. Shout out Raptar. Almost claims a body there. And now this just gives all the space for Geek Fam.
Is this time for Geek Fam to just run them down? Fluffy caught in trouble here.
Blitzkrieg.
Oh, what?
Fluffy, the damage.
What is that?
That damage. Luke the nuke.
What did I tell you, man? You have to choose one, and he chose an Oracle. He has a Dominance Ice, but what? Geek Fam don't care about it, man. They just go through it. On top of that, man, it's a Melfic Roar already for Valoy.
Oh my God, Valoyski with the engage, looking for an Annabelle. I'm offended onto receive, but the damage will not come through though. Valoyski will fall. That's a trade finally for Evo's glory.
1 kill as a consolation prize, but Geek Fam is just wreaking havoc left and right. Evos, is this time for them to throw in the towel? Or will they try to bank on a mistake from Geek Fam? Because we have seen the past few days where teams come back from a costly mistake, but then again, Geek Fam, in this stage of the game, they won't be able to make that happen.
It's really, really tough for Evo's glory. Like I said, right, at this point, the real best way to play this game is turtle in your base, maybe group as 5, look for a pickoff or look for
drag it
Geek
out.
Fam yeah, drag it out as long as you can, but Geek Fam, they're known to utilize these death balls very, very well, especially with a composition like this, with a Lo Yi, they can send the Masha anywhere around the map. Seems like they were about to collide there as we get into this replay, but both teams disengage. Let's talk a little bit about this play. I think for Geek Fam, especially now considering that in the 11th minute of the game, they're so ahead, it's okay for them to look for random brawls. As long as they still have that advantage with the Lord early in the bottom lane, they knew if they traded equally, they would still get a lot of value, more value than Evo's glory for sure. And at this point, it's all about how they freeze the waves, they stop Evo's glory from farming, stop Evo's glory from getting to those item power spikes, because it just seems like even if...
Oh, Valoy. Valoyski. Awkward engage, but Primal Wrath will do.
Oh,
good taunts! A boy is there, as well as Chidera. Ray finds the Mega, and that's, again, Evo's glory losing out on trades.
Again, they just run down towards Evo's glory, and this isn't the full power. They're able to just take it down. Diversion play.
Luke, send this guy towards Clockun. Oh my goodness! Luke finds the kill with the Thunderclap, and that extra damage is enough to take him down.
The Luke nuke! The nuke of Luke! The Thunder Luke, or whatever you want to call it! BBL! That's Big Boy Luke! We were talking about how creative you can be with the diversions. It was so weird to put a diversion there that was so readable that even Evos thought no one would take it. Oh, what?
Fluffy, he's living up to his name a little bit too seriously.
So fluffy. You can't even feel the shielding coming in from that Esmeralda. He's just being slaughtered. And now Evos, what do they hope for? Because Geek Fam feels like they're playing this game flawlessly. And now they're eyeing themselves another Lord.
It's so difficult again for Evo's glory. I think even saying it's difficult is an understatement here, because really all they can do is wait for a mistake. They can only wait in their base, maybe manage these waves in a way where Geek Fam cannot go for a 3-wave push. They're trying to do that right now with the mid lane. trying to hold it back, but in the end, they let it push. It's still going to be a super mini wave pushing back to Evo's glory, though. So I think that has to be the homework that Geek Fam have to try to work out. How do they get these 3 waves to crash in at once? Or maybe just put that diversion down in the back, Luke goes in, and all of them are just zoned away from that minion wave. And then you have the 3-wave push that you want to try to end this game. It's an 11.7k gold lead. That's a BOD, second BOD already being built, and he should be able to get it very, very soon. Even Chidera, he sold his boots already. 15 minutes, full items, 6 damage items. We don't count the Wind of Nature, it's defensive, but whatever, right? I mean, 6 items with a Windtalker. They want to go for the end.
The big evil is Baloyski, but the demon himself is Luke, at least in this game. 3-way push being made. The Lord taken down, but diversion play!
Oh, the flank again. Fluffy almost taken out by Chidera. Oh, calmly! Baloyski finds 3 men, but the follow-up damage is not really there. Baloyski needs to back away. Evo's glory stands with 5. Fluffy jumps again, looking for a kill. Brands will take their time here. All 3 base turrets taken out, though.
Good hold. I don't know what they did, but they're able to just withstand the pressure from Geek Fam. Is this the window for EVOS?
Again, the window is quite far away for Evo's glory. Brands is at full items, but still, we were talking about how Brands cannot go for the Wind of Nature. He has a role. He has a great Dragon Spear right now. He has a lot of mobility on top of the Endless Battle and the Windtalker. But really, if that Masha thunderclaps him, it's going to be tough. Same goes for Kwakun. I think at this point, yeah, I'm looking back, he has a Winter Truncheon. That is the way to try to beat this Masha. When Luke tries to go in with a Thunderclap, you Winter Truncheon. You try to wait for the other members in your team to melt him down and to force him back. But even then, Luke, he's willing to sacrifice himself as long as he gets that Novaria. So for EVOS, it's back to waiting for a mistake. But that mistake will be even harder for Geek Fam to pull off. Like, Geek Fam making a mistake here with 3 base turrets, with a 12.6k gold lead, and with this composition. So much creativity even with inside the enemy base. This diversion can come through all angles. It can come through outside of the map to teleport them back in. So it's all about them now waiting for these slow pushes to be crashing down in their base, and then they'll just farm it up, right? But in the end, it's still just them waiting in the base. They have to turtle in. Maybe make a big gamble. Try to go for the Lord, because if you continue to stay this way, I think it might just be game 1 for Geek.
This diversion in and of itself is a huge, constant, looming threat for EVOS Glory, having to seek out all of the things happening, and now they're more brave to come out of their shell, try to clear out the waves, gain control again of their jungle. But this Lord, it's just going to be relinquished towards Geek Fam, or will Annabelle try to contest this because he's hiding in the bush? And Luke looking for a play.
Towards Fluffy, who has immortality. Annabelle, though, oh my god! The damage will be in the Luke finds it! 5v4, Baloyski flickers out of the way, and the Lord will be claimed by Ray. That is it. EVOS Glory, yet again, needs to defend this one.
A trade, and no, it's not even a trade, because Annabelle was the one falling down. So Geek Fam again, just showing their evil side, winning in every department.
Force errors across the board, right, for Geek Fam when they have a 12.6k gold lead. They wait for the waves to push in. Evos deal with it. They try to force a fight, but Geek Fam want to fight. They have a 12,000 gold lead. They can utilize these leads in the fight, and now it might just be the final siege.
See, no base hurts. Flicker on towards the Browns. Still survives, but Dreams will lose his immortality. What the heck happened backside? Dreams, good night to Fluffy Balls as well. Chidera will be the trade of the base. They're exposed. Now they are going for it. And Geek Fam, they managed to tame the White Tigers in game 1.
Evil strikes in the first game of the lower bracket final. They triumph, and it feels like the heroes, the White Tigers, their fangs are dull.
Luke dove the fountain.
Wow.
And he killed Brands. Luke Nuke. Reptar, Luke Nuke.
I told you guys, y'all better watch out for the Luke Nuke.
Wow.
Don't worry, I got much more detailed analysis for that, but I just want to repeat it again. Luke Nuke.
Crazy. Oh my goodness.
Luke Nuke. It was manifested in that, the way he just ran down, was able to just, you know, without any without any hindsight, he was just already killing and trying to knock down Clockun in that process. And EVOS was just left without an answer.
No hesitation whatsoever.
No hesitation.
Clockun, Grams, I got my eyes on you. Even a Fluffy. Esmeralda.
Yeah. And again, it goes back to that last pick, Esmeralda. For me, it was the right idea for the wrong intention. Obviously, EVOS wanted to have more of an advantage in the EXP lane for their laner and Fluffy. Esmeralda versus the Masha. Masha's going to struggle early on, so that's going to be your window. You dive that, and then you try to build a lead for your Esmeralda so that the Masha's her claws will be dull. But what happened was, it seems like Luke just handled the lane really well, and then at the same time, the members of Big Fam were nearby. That was more than enough to stop EVOS from helping out Fluffy, which led to the turtle just being every objective, every turtle being a big loss for EVOS. Because, man, they're up against what? A Fredrin, an Edith, and a Low Yi. There's no way in hell Annabelle's gonna win a Retribution battle there when he's getting chained with crowd control.
Yeah, the chain CC was so heavy. And the fact that Luke is, indeed, we talked about him as an independent XP laner, but for Fluffy, he wasn't gonna really win that lane. Sure, he was trying to survive, but do you think they could have allocated more focus and funnel towards Fluffy maybe to just take down Luke in that regard?
Well, I mean, in the early game, I would definitely say yes. There's a possibility that they can actually look for a pick-off before they go for the fight, because that's what they desperately needed, and that's the advantage that they have with the box share, right? You're so much more mobile, you clear so much faster, so you get to level 4, and you can instantly rotate up top, try to get Luke down, or go to the Claude in the bottom lane. There are other ways other than the turtle to form this early game lead, especially considering you have a Roger in the gold lane. There's a snowball potential up top, there's a snowball potential down below, there's kill pressure up top, there's kill pressure down below, but it almost seemed like Geek Fam baited them in, reeled them into the team fights, and they knew that they were going to win it with the incredible CC that they have. This is the player of the game, man. It's Luke, the Nuke, presented to you by Samsung Galaxy S24 series. Master Assassin, Thrill, and Lethal Ignition, and he's on the way. I think, you know, realistically, he's probably a Sea Halberd or something, but I think that's the third BOD.
Third BOD.
Bro,
That's a Chad BOD.
Bro is Skyrim dual wielding an FPL Indonesia with those two BODs, man. That's two ebony blades in his hands. And he's putting up a fighting pose, and he knew his job. Once the laning phase is done, once Geek Fam knows that they have that early to mid advantage because they won of the objectives, that's the time for Luke to shine. And yeah, you have to credit the rest of Geek Fam for their Edith, for their Fredrin, for their Low Yi, for doing the job in the objectives. Just make sure Annabelle doesn't win a Retribution battle. It got to the point where the Low Yi won the third turtle of the game, because Annabelle was just, again, crowd control chain. And speaking of Annabelle, though, I don't like how he started that off with that deep dive into the purple buff of Geek Fam just to take down a boy. I get why he did it, but if there were other members of EVOS there to help him out, to help him get out much quicker, that would have been great. But it ended up becoming Baksha going down early. That ruined the majority of the early game rotation of EVOS.
I'm glad that you mentioned that, because we're going to take a look at exactly that, right? Early on, very good damage placed down, and I get the idea. Dreams, Clockun, they did enough to a boy, and it's a very sudden dive in. But then you can see a little bit of a disconnect for EVO's Glory, right? They were not ready. They were like, wait, he wants to go in, he got the kill, he should be good. Turns out, yeah, no. And then the second turtle, this was just ridiculous, because there were two fights going on at the same time, and EVO's Glory, they do not win in a split up team fight like that. They need to clump up together, play together as a team, utilize that front to back, and utilize the poke. But even then, because they were so far behind, it was tough for them to even look for that, right? At this point, I think, I don't know, in 11 minutes, I think whatever they would have done, it would have just been like, all right, we got to rely on Geek Fam to make a mistake.
Yeah, realize, Donnie, Mirko mentioned it earlier, that the lineup of EVO's Glory needed to win an early game, find an early lead. But then they couldn't, because they're up against a Fredrin and an Edith. When you can't take them down fast enough, that's pretty much GG. Fredrin and Edith are the heroes that please hurt me, I like it, because they deal more damage back. And EVO's Glory just really couldn't.
It was so insane.
Masochist.
They're masochists, yeah. The heroes, we mean, the heroes.
They were trying to kind of just contain this Masha, but I feel like it wasn't really... Sure, Luke was kind of stealing the spotlight, but it was just Geek Fam corralling together, trying to disable Annabelle in every neutral fight and contest, and the objectives was just not in the way of EVOS. Yep. Now, in hindsight, do you guys think it was worth it for EVOS to trade that Masha in?
I think if you had a proper plan, yes, right? I mean, we mentioned in the backstage that you could go for a Kaja, that Divine Judgment, that Suppression is a way to actually stop the Masha from going all the way to the back line, but then they decided to pick a Novaria after seeing the Masha. That was the nail in the coffin. They kind of nailed themselves to the ground on that, and I think Turtle number 2 was literal proof that that is not a matchup you want in this game.
And one of the biggest problems also for the EVOS Glory lineup is, again, we go back to the age-old idea of to play a game of Mobile Legends safely, 2 good sources of magic damage would be the most ideal. Esmeralda, I feel like that was like the idea of EVOS Glory, along with the fact that they were thinking maybe this would be enough to contain Luke in the early game. We needed someone else who could deal a little bit more magic damage. That's why I love the Edith pickup for Geek Fam in picks 4 and 5. Because if EVOS Glory had an Edith, would have been a much better lineup. But with Geek Fam taking it away, now they have an Edith plus a Low Yi together for team fighting. That's a really great combo, especially when you put them in roam and mid.
It's a very perfect composition, I would say, from the damage output being so diverse, from the way they engage being so diverse. They can engage with everything. I mean, the diversion could send someone in the back. Beloyski could just knock on the front door. Luke could be thunderclapping into the front, forcing everybody to clump up into that Earth Shatter. We've seen that multiple times. And really, for Claw Kun, there was one answer to that burst, and it's the Winter Truncheon. You stay frozen, you hope, you pray for the team to peel for you. And even Floppy had to go for the Winter Truncheon. Oh, this was a Stomp in game 1. I really hope EVOS Glory are able to adapt to now what Geek Fam have in their arsenal, right? Because we actually had a discussion as well backstage. Masha will be in the first phase. They were happy with it after seeing the Roger. I think when you see a Roger, prime time to go for the Masha. Very low duration on that Wind of Nature. Little ways to actually outplay the Masha on that Roger, right? So on the fact that they went and doubled down on that Roger with the Novaria, it is unfortunate, but again, this is the best of 5. Maybe they were trying to test out their limits. They left the Low Yi, the Masha. They left all the signature picks almost for Geek Fam up.
We talked about EVOS also having this sort of wide hero pool that kind of makes Geek Fam question their prio bans. What are they going to ban out? But now it comes to haunt them again because EVOS themselves, it was so hard for them to identify which one is more prio to ban. I mean, when Luke was able to pick up the Masha, I saw that Kaja ban and I was like, how do they deal with this Luke? How do they deal with this Masha from Luke? Now for EVOS, what do they want to seek out later on in the bans?
Honestly, for EVOS, number 1, you're going to have to take away the... Okay, funny, I was just about to say, take away the prio picks, but they literally took away the Hera chip and the Hellcurt, so yeah, but... I feel like at this point, it warrants a Masha ban here. If there's going to be one pick that I would suggest EVOS to change, or ban to change, if they're going to be on the red side again, it could be the chip. Not to say that the chip isn't that strong of a pick. He still is. But I feel like now, even more so, Geek Fam just showed you really can't give the Masha to them. You can't give the Masha to Luke.
And I mean, with that, right, with chip open, it opens up the Lui possibility as well.
Yeah.
You take the chip, I can take the Lui. I take the Lui, you can take the chip. So there's a trade in that sense. And let's talk about the first phase. It's very ambitious here for instead of EVOS Glory to pick up the Novaria again, you mentioned. And then the Esmeralda aspect is just way too ambitious, which a little bit too complex in execution-wise.
Yeah. I definitely can see the idea, right? I mean, we're giving them credit for trying to pull off an Esmeralda, a Novaria as well against the Masha. Unfortunately, that just did not work out. And I have to agree with you, Reptar. They can leave out the chip open. I think at this point, you need to try to trade things. If, you know, Loyi is going to be left open. We were talking as well, discussing that teleports, map control is going to be super important. Maybe the most important thing in this matchup. So why not fight fire with fire, leave both open, and try to out-teleport each other. One's more creative, the other one's a bit harder to... both are very weird to handle, Chip and Loyi.
Yeah, for sure. I understand though the hesitation of EVOS not wanting to give the chip to Beloyski here, because going into this matchup, he's 4-0 with the chip in his hands. 4 wins, 0 losses. So even though that doesn't sound like a bunch of wins, come on, up against Geek Fam in the lower bracket finals, I get why they don't want to give the chip, but I mean, going into game 2, I feel like that's a risk they're going to have to take if they're going to be on the red side again. If they're on the blue side, that's how things are going to be changing big time here. But they have shown, especially up against teams like Fnatic Onyx, and that they're not shy to ban out the chip on the blue side, because they have priorities on their own. They want to be able to take the Low Yi, they want to be able to, even surprisingly, take Valentina first pick. Huh.
Interesting.
Just the way they play. I mean, I feel like, again, for Fnatic Onyx, it's more of trying to deny silence, right? You want to take away the Valentina,
That's true.
you ban a lot of these
Yeah,
mid
yeah,
laners, but it's a completely different matchup here from both teams. I think a boy could be the target man, the target for Evo's Glory in the next banning phase as well, but we also kind of spoke about it. Even when he gets the fair miss, maybe Evo's here. I think just double down on your main style, because we didn't get to see that style at all for Evo's Glory. We were talking about how for Geek Fam, they're the jack of all trades. They have a lot of different ways to play the game. They can go healing team fight, long team fights, they can go for the pickoffs, they can go for instant team fights like we saw earlier. For Evo's Glory, they're one trick, team fighting with layers of CC. Go back to that in game 2.
But we're gonna go back to the host while they have an interview going up stage. Bude, Clara Bongstar, and Moko, take it away.
Gig berhasil mengamankan poin, tapi tentu saja ini best of 5 series. Udah Clara, masih ada game-game selanjutnya.
Pastinya karena kita melihat bahwa performa dari kedua tim ini begitu memukau di babak playoff. Jadi ini dipastikan akan menjadi match yang sangat sengit. Betul nggak sih super fans? Coba dong mau dengar suaranya nih dari Geek Community.
Wow, jangan mau kalah, mana suaranya EVOS Fam.
Semua semangat dan sorak-sorai tentu bisa dirasakan oleh kedua tim yang sedang beradu. Dan kalau mengingat hari ini dengan semua support yang diberikan, tentu kita akan ngobrol-ngobrol juga mencari siapa nih yang bisa kita tanya-tanya juga. Karena kalau dari seorang fans, biasanya mereka punya sudut pandang yang berbeda. Mereka tentunya akan bisa memberikan kita sebuah mungkin cerita yang bisa kita dengarkan bersama-sama.
Betul sekali, yang mana kalau ngomongin super fans itu luar biasa sekali ya. Karena apapun yang terjadi mereka tetap setia mendukung tim kesayangannya. Kira-kira kita mau ngobrol sama siapa nih kali ini ya?
Ayo langsung kita panggilkan saja, ini ada di Samsung Zone. Kita udah akan langsung ngobrol bersama dengan siapakah ini, kita langsung culik saja. Halo.
Haidar, wow.
Haidar dari mana? Weh, ado-ado mingene. Langsung tayang bahasa Jawa ge, Bude. Tapi gimana sih? Kamu kesini khusus untuk mendukung siapakah?
Dukung EVOS. Tapi gimana nih ngeliat ini EVOS, wah EVOS fans begitu luar biasa. Perjuangan dari EVOS, kalau di regular season mungkin ini sempat diragukan, tetapi ternyata sekarang udah ada di top 3.
Keren banget, salut sama usahanya mereka. Dari awal kayak regular season mereka kurang, terus mereka ngebuktiin, akhirnya sekarang udah bisa sampai top 3, itu udah luar biasa sih.
Tapi kan udah jadi fans EVOS dari lama ya katanya ya?
Betul, betul.
Dari kapan tuh kalau boleh tahu?
Dari zaman Legend, World.
Waduh.
One, Aura, Rek, Luminaire, Danki, semuanya keren. Itu yang bikin saya suka EVOS.
Terngiang suara ting 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 ting.
Eh,
Pas pada saat itulah M1 kamu jatuh hati.
Bener banget.
Wow, dan pada akhirnya sekarang sudah berseason-season masih terus mendukung. Dan ketika melihat timnya berada di posisi yang minus seperti regular season itu, gimana sih respon dari fans?
Sebagai fans kita terus optimis terus. Kita yakin kalau mereka pasti bisa melakukan improve lah. Mereka pasti bisa improve. Udah terbukti sampai sekarang mereka udah 3 besar. Salut banget sama perjuangan mereka.
Wow, sudah 3 besar dan kita lihat memang itu perjuangannya. Wah ini berarti, ini gimana nih? Berarti waktu regular season, playoff, udah sering nonton secara langsung nih?
Ya bener banget, sering nonton.
Sering nonton?
Tapi baru ke venue kali ini sih, makanya seneng banget bisa dapat kesempatan datang ke sini.
Wow, first timer di sini. Gimana suasananya? Gimana? Deskripsiin dong.
Seru banget di sini.
Seru banget. Dengan gaya yang cool.
Keren.
Wong Jogja cool ya. Tapi gimana sih mungkin bisa melihat langsung para playernya, para super fans dengan genderungnya. Lalu ketemu mungkin talent-talent juga kah? BA.
Iya, semuanya bawain positive vibes. Keren.
Keren ya, berarti udah ketemu player, udah ketemu BA. Kalau ngomongin BA, talent-talent, udah foto sama siapa aja sih?
Belum ada sih.
Belum ada.
Belum ada.
Oke, silahkan mencari jika ingin melanjutkan untuk mencari bersama, foto bersama. Kan jauh-jauh dari Jogja. Cakep, lanjutin dong. Loh.
Jauh-jauh dari
Bingung ya?
Jogja.
Jauh-jauh dari Jogja.
Aku kesini cuma buat nunggu EVOS juara.
Waduh. Keren.
Nungguin EVOS juara. Kalau Haidar, terima kasih belum foto ya sama BABA. Berarti nanti diberikan kesempatan ya, tadi Bude bilang nanti foto-foto sama BA. Tapi emang BABA di MPL Indonesia juga menjadi salah satu yang mewarnai MPL Indonesia ya.
Benar, jadi silakan. Boleh, terima kasih sekali udah bergabung bersama kami.
Thank you.
Salam,
Thank you.
Bu arek Jogja. Kanca-kanca aku nang Jogja lagi pada ngumpul, tapi ya tadi kan Haidar belum dapet kan. Monik nanyain foto sama BA. Tadi Bude ya ketemu, udah sering ketemu sama Fonzi, tapi hari ini Fonzi begitu memukau.
Loh.
Bude mau pamer nih.
Pamer apa Bude?
Tadi Bude foto sama Fonzi. Nih,
Coba deh kita
galeri.
lihat nih.
Tara.
Ih keren banget dua bidadari kita nih di sini.
Bentar, ada banyak nih.
Tapi bentar Bude. Loh ini kok ada yang nongol di belakang?
Bentar. Tenang aja, tenang. Biar bisa fokus sama Bude dan Fonzi, ada caranya. Ini Samsung Monik, Samsung Galaxy.
Lupa ini kan Samsung Galaxy S24 series
Yes.
ya.
Tolong pegangin mic-nya bentar.
Coba kita tunjukin nih ke super fans gimana caranya biar mungkin bisa ilangin background, biar bisa fokus ke Fonzi dan juga Bude Clara. Jadi pertama tekan edit, terus ada icon biru-biru ini langsung ditekan, ini untuk AI-nya. Lalu nanti kita langsung lingkarin, ini langsung dilingkarin dulu. Nah back dulu, kita langsung lingkarin nanti. Ini menggunakan AI ya, teknologi AI. Dan bisa langsung kita nanti lingkarin objek yang kita ingin hilangkan. Nah setelahnya nanti, wah ini pokoknya keren banget ya kalau ngomongin Samsung S24 series. Soalnya fotonya tuh udah keren. Tapi memang kalau mungkin biar bisa lebih fokus lagi ke objek utamanya, pemeran utamanya bintangnya kan kalau di fotonya itu tadi berarti Bude Clara sama Fonzi ya. Jadi kita langsung bisa ilangin objek-objek atau orang yang ada di belakang. Ini caranya langsung setelah dipakai teknologi AI, ditekan, kalau udah nanti ditahan lama objeknya, kita tahan lama, coba nih kita tahan lama sampai nanti, atau kita coba ya kita tunjukin biar super fans biar bisa lebih jelas lagi nih, kita tunjukin. Nah kalau udah ditahan lama kayak gini nanti ada ini nih penghapus, ikonnya dihapus, terus kita tekan buat, dan kita akan melihat ini AI-nya akan berputar, akan loading. Kita akan melihat bagaimana magic dari Samsung Galaxy S24 series ini. Akankah kita melihat biar bisa langsung fokus ya?
Iya, tapi seneng banget loh Bude bisa ketemu foto. Pokoknya tadi kan cepet-cepet kan, Bude harus pokoknya gimana caranya dapat foto bareng Fonzi. Dan pada akhirnya Bude bisa ngedapetin foto walaupun ya mungkin nggak bisa pilih background yang sesuai Bude mau dan Fonzi mau. Yang penting kan dapat foto bareng.
Wah gimana tuh Bude akhirnya ketemu, udah sering kan Bude ketemu tapi akhirnya bisa foto bareng. Hari ini gimana tuh Fonzi?
Fonzi cakep banget.
Tapi Bude juga cakep banget.
Aduh apalagi mau nikah.
Sama-sama cakep ya semua.
Yes.
Wah, kita lihat ini. Kita sedang menunggu hasil dari ini ya, fotonya.
Tenang, memang kita tuh melihat hasil tuh harus sabar juga ya. Tapi
Betul.
nanti tuh akan kehapus juga dan akan jadi backgroundnya ngeblend dengan background yang
Serius
ada.
Bude ya.
Iya.
Jadi biar fokus utamanya itu bisa ke Bude sama Fonzi. Ih bisa langsung pamer tuh Bude fotonya. Setelahnya.
Yes, betul. Jadi nanti akan Bude tunjukin ya. Dan ini bagus banget sih Bude kepengen simpen ini. Bude figura.
Ih Monica jadi mau deh nanti pokoknya ngajak-ngajak ya. Ngajak-ngajak. Wah, pokoknya keren banget ya. Jadi bisa pakai Samsung Galaxy S24 series. Walaupun kayak Bude buru-buru nih mau foto sama Fonsi sampai backgroundnya mungkin kurang sesuai harapan. Tapi tenang aja dengan bantuan AI dari Samsung Galaxy S24 series semua bisa teratasi.
Betul sekali. Namun yang akan melanjutkan harus dan mengatasi semua problematika di dalam Land of Dawn adalah kedua tim ini di final lower bracket. Akan ada EVOS Glory dan juga Geek Fam yang melanjutkan pertarungan di babak lower bracket final. Mari kita sambut, inilah dia game kedua.
The villains, the devils, once again showing to EVOS how it feels playing in the lower bracket. Their home court, it seems like it's heating up for EVOS, and they have to answer in game number 2 because game number 1 was so dominating for Geek Fam that EVOS did not have a chance to even craft and execute the draft that they wanted to play against that Amasha and Luke the Nuke. Thank you, Reptar, for that. It was so hard for them to play against.
It was hard because I feel, I mean, we had this discussion while, you know, the hosts were doing the segment and the interview, but man, EVOS Glory are not playing to the way that they have been playing. They're not playing to their keys to victory. In all of their games, they have never gone for the Baksha. They are the ones to go for prio picks. They're the ones to force the enemy team to go for these big, clean deny picks. But speaking of clean, we got this new Samsung Galaxy S24 series to flex on you guys real quick. And if you guys want to get it yourselves, you guys can find it on the website. I think Realize has more info. Look at this.
Of course, a lot of information where you can get this phone, win the game with the new Samsung Galaxy S24 series. This series, of course, boasts epic gaming performance. It is powered by the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 processor designed specifically for performance. And you can also keep your cool with the large vapor chamber that prevents overheating.
Whoa.
Where you can elevate your gaming skills like a pro gamer and dominate the battlefield. I kind of find it pesky when I want to play and my phone starts, you know, to heat up. That really sucks. And of course, what's more, it features Galaxy AI that can now translate 16 foreign languages into Indonesian. So chatting, calling, or gaming with friends from other countries is now even easier. I feel like Mirko is gonna demonstrate to us how it feels like to talk with the AI that can translate foreign languages.
Let's go, let's
Absolutely.
go.
So if you guys want to learn some Riz lessons and you want to translate it to a different language, the language that I selected is Korea. So let me just do this. Aku sayang kamu.
사랑합니다. 사랑합니다.
Okay, 안녕하세요.
Wow.
Yes.
Genchana.
Yeah, Genchana as well.
Deng, deng, deng. It's a different Genchana. And yeah, it's so good. Like if you're getting lost in translation somewhere, maybe next time, Reptar, I'm gonna visit the Philippines. I'm gonna really need that AI interpreter from Samsung. Of course, it can translate directly. You can check samsung.com/ID to get your hands on the Samsung Galaxy S24 series. Epic, just like that. With Samsung Galaxy S24 series.
And after that, after you get that S24, you can sit on the Galaxy Zone, man. That's
Wow.
front row
Exactly.
seats for you guys
Privilege.
in MPL Indonesia, straight up. So come over, show your Samsung phone, and you can sit right there with the best, the best.
Oh, I was showing out. I was showing out, bro.
Someone get this man a Samsung phone, Reptar.
Please do.
If you're gonna chill, maybe later on, you can sit at the Samsung zone.
He has a Samsung phone now, you know, I just gave him my S24. Don't worry, we'll
you.
get some more
Rich
S24s.
guy
We got
Mirko.
2 in front of us.
I'm
And
crying.
even Gani's on the A series, so hey, shout outs to Gani.
I've been on Samsung since.
Wow.
You're a loyal. You're a Samsung
Yeah.
loyalist, Gani.
Exactly.
That's why you've always been in the Galaxy Zone.
Privilege.
Oh wait, you were there when I was denied in the Galaxy Zone, and you did nothing. Nothing.
We were gatekeeping, Reptar!
Gatekeeping. But talking about gatekeeping, we will go back to the game where Geek Fam were able to gatekeep EVOS from executing that draft. What went wrong for EVOS to the to the point where they were so hard trying to maintain that draft of theirs?
I think behind the scenes we were talking about it, there was a word that Mirko and even you and you guys in the talent room mentioned, overthink. EVOS felt like they were overthinking. I know Mirko can dwell a little bit more on that. I feel like it went wrong the moment we saw Ruby in the first 2 picks, not gonna lie. I mean, I get it, you're denying, as Mirko mentioned also, that you're denying the flexibility of Luke or Beloyski. We mentioned it in the cast, but it could be something else. So yeah, EVOS now actually, we mentioned about banning the chip. They're on the blue side. They banned the Loyi and picked up the chip themselves. I like these series of bans coming from EVOS. You slightly have to adjust the game plan if you're Geek Fam. So they go ahead and of course, you're gonna pick up the Fredrin. Go ahead and pick up the Baksha or the Barretts now if you want to. It might be the best course of action. Now Geek Fam also has the Claude. If you're not gonna go for the Baksha or the Barretts, I think it'd be good to also just pick up a faster scaling gold laner, something magic. If it's not the Moskov, they can even go to Nathan if they want to. No, they're not picking their gold now?
Nope. Seems with the Exborg left open, that was the ban in game number 1 for Geek Fam, and honestly, every team has been going for that Exborg ban up against Evo's Glory. So finally, Fluffy gets his hands on a comfort pick. It's a Valentina as well. You want to give that playmaking potential to someone like Clockman, man. You give him a playmaking hero like the Valentina. On top of that, so much global presence. And as a Valentina, you want to go for the skirmishes. Same thing goes for the Exborg. Let's see though. Wow. They picked that Fairness into the Valentina, Geek Fam.
That is brave. What does this indicate? Are they gonna really pick up a healer in the second phase and just out-sustain in the team fights? But considering EVOS do have that Valentina with the IMU, that's gonna be a battle of Nether Realms.
Yep, battle of Nether Realms, and a question of EVOS if they're gonna be taking out the Florin from Beloyski and maybe even the Minotaur, because those are both still open. But the thing is, I like the Valentina getting picked up in the first phase for EVOS because those heroes that I mentioned wouldn't like it if they're gonna have to give their ultimate to a Valentina. So EVOS do ban out the Florin. The question now is, will that be a Mino ban, or will EVOS be happy with giving it to Geek Fam because they have the Valentina?
I love the fact that they're banning also for Geek Fam 2 of these fast-clearing jungles. Geek Fam definitely want to use that as an advantage with the Fredrin. They want to take away these assassins. Want to go for the neutral objective contest up against Evo's Glory. I think at this point, with EVOS also banning out the Florin, they might have to ban... actually, now that I think about it again, I'm not too sure about the Kaja anymore here in this game. They got a Cloud of the Fairness. I don't think there's nearly enough burst after the Divine Judgment to utilize it completely. So the Minotaur definitely seems to be the best option to give an advantage towards the Fredrin. I think the Ruby would have been great too as a flex pick, but now Edith, Minotaur, Grok could come through as the roamer, but they decide to hide that. Okay, a little bit of a curveball. Yutong pick early.
Yeah, both teams don't really have a natural engager yet, you know, the Ruby with the pulls and all that, but an MPL ID data among all regions qualifying for MSC 2024. Only MPL ID, NACT, and MTC Turkey have used the hero Masha in the playoffs. Now, of course, for Reptar, why is Masha not that much of a big deal in MPLPH?
I think it just boils down to the playstyle and the importance of a lot of teams. Filipino teams excel in the turtle dance and the lord dance. Having the Masha in your team for that is quite risky in PH, considering how difficult it is to break team fighting formations. Lancelot, I'm not gonna say anything just yet, but I feel like my initial reaction right now just speaks volumes.
Mirko, reactions towards this Lancelot pick?
You heard it when Reptar was talking. Ooh! I don't know if it's a good ooh or a bad ooh. They want to dive, they want to fight. I guess it does synergize with their composition. That's another fast clearing jungler. But now Geek Fam, they can go for that Grok that can invade early on. Look for that initial start of the game. They go for the Minotaur instead though, so they actually want EVOS to dive on them. They just have to be very careful as to how they utilize this Minotaur, because Minotaur have been poked down a whole lot in the playoffs before he can even use that Minion's Fury.
Very strong 2 supports, right? With the Nether Realm, with the addition of that Motivation Roar and Minion Fury, so that adds more depth when controlling team fights as expected from Geek Fam.
Yeah, the Filipino in me is looking at the draft right now of Geek Fam and liking it a little bit more. We barely see Lancelot in the Philippines for a reason. Up against a team that has a Filipino roamer leading the charge. And I know he's been here in Indonesia since season 10, okay? I understand. but you can't escape the Pinoy playstyle.
The chip as well, man. I really like the chip for Evo's Glory. I like that at this point in game number 2, it seems like they just want that early game. They've been a team that have been able to utilize both early and late game, but now it's all on that early game once again, just like in game 1, but it is even riskier.
Will the people's champion, the heroes, escape
5 seconds
the
till
pits
the
of
enemy
hell,
reaches
or will
the
Geek Fam
battlefield.
secure
Smash
the
them.
2-0? Back we go to the land of Dawn in Geek Fam against EVOS.
Welcome
Let's
to
see Land of Dawn.
Legends.
Evo's Glory should break the momentum here and now. Meanwhile, Geek Fam, they're comfortable, but their job is not done.
So initially, as we get into the game, as we want to talk about the drafts even deeper, we get to the point where CC, again, has been the keys to victory, has been the main factor as to how Evo's Glory are able to take their games. Look at their composition now. They lack a whole lot of CC, right? The X-Borg, no CC. It's Dreams and Clocken. That's the 2 CCs, and it's not even like big game-changing CCs that they've been able to utilize on the Minotaur, the Tig, the Edith, Master Assassin still for Chidera and Brands.
That's my question then. How do they really create this big engage towards Geek Fam? Will they be banking on a clutch IMU, or will they have something else in their pocket?
I think it's a mix of both, honestly. They want to use that IMU to steal away these Nether Realms, this Minotaur as well, with that Minion's Fury, but mainly how they're going to be able to look for these pickoffs is through that chip, that map control of his, where he can rotate across the map very, very fast, teleport, put that shortcut down, and then overwhelm Geek Fam with damage. It's kind of like what Geek Fam were doing to them with that Masha, with that composition earlier, but they had CC. That's the difference now. For Evos, they're just poking Geek Fam.
Pokes are in the name of the game for EVOS Glory, but they have to be weathering the first few minutes, because from the looks of it, Geek Fam, they do also have that strong skirmishing power. When this Yuzong is online, the BDF can always ensure that you have a great opening, especially when you also have Beloyski with the Minotaur. That, you know, knock-ups will be insane for EVOS to handle.
Oh, it was already annoying earlier in game number 1 without the sprint. Now with the sprint, especially up against a Lancelot, the Cloud's already really, really good at dodging away from the Lancelot assassination. Geek Fam looks like they are down a level to Claw and Fluffy.
Yeah, Falcon already level 4, and a boy still looking for that timing to pop that Nether Realm, perhaps assist them to collect that turtle. But no, it seems like both teams are taking their time here in that first mute take.
They will re-engage soon, I think, because this turtle will be very, very important, especially in the early stages of the game. But Beloyski just being shadowed by Dreams, so Dreams just playing close proximity, but Annabelle.
Change crowd control. Oh, good puncture. But Minion Fury actually connecting onto his Falcon. No fall of damage though. Now take a look at Brands and Dreams. They collapse onto his Beloy. He will fall first in this game, and Fluffy here will have some of Firag armor, but that's 1 for all.
I understand what Geek Fam were doing there. They didn't want to go for the turtle because they have an overwhelming advantage in the neutral objectives. But what Evos have is a very mobile, fast-clearing jungler. So they want to deny that off of him, that clear speed. But it has only given Evos a chance.
Oh, neutral detective. Oh, it's messy. Lachlan gets it. Luke very low, looking for an escape. Oh, Lachlan secures that kill. Fluffy still survives. Beloyski now in the fray, but it will not do business. It's again a favorable trade towards the White Tigers.
Clocken with the clutch plays. The fangs are dull, but the claws are still sharp enough to be able to carry that fight and win the neutral contest against Geek Fam. EVOS now online.
Catastrophic for Geek Fam in the early game. 2,000 gold lead. Remember what we were talking about in the draft, Evo's Glory. It's basically game 1, but riskier. They are doubling down on the early game. The fact that they have almost a 2,000 gold lead in the first 3 minutes, now this has to raise concerns within the team of Geek Fam. They need to be able to weather the storm, and technically they still have ways to do so. They have that Minion's Fury, very good disengage tool. They have a Nether Realm as well. So for Geek Fam, it's all about slowing the tempo down, but for Evos, it's about how to find ways to dive, to force this pace, this incredible pace onto Geek Fam. And Annabelle's really doing a good job in that jungle matchup. This is why the Lancelot, technically this is why Nolan and Ling was banned. They didn't expect the Lancelot, does a very similar job though.
Yeah, that could really be the case. For Annabelle, it's just going to be very, very volatile and just pushing towards Geek Fam, running it down like the same that Luke did in the last game. But for EVOS, I feel like they have everything in their hands. You're just playing the slow, and Dreams will have that shortcut to pop. So it will never be like a 2v2. It will just instantly become a 2v4. And when you have this Lancelot just flying into you, you have that maybe Clocker with a clutch steal, with a clutch IMU. That could just turn the tables around for Geek Fam. So Geek Fam, they need to be on the lookout, especially for Luke.
Teams here, Dreams though. Crash course. Just on towards your boy. Both teams just hovering around here looking for potential trades, but let's see here. The turtle fights. The second turtle fight. Geek Fam, again, taking their time. Both actually, EVOS Glory. Take a look at Lancelot moving top side. Clockun takes another round. It seems again, both teams not committing on towards a big fight just yet.
They're not really interested in just running towards the skirmishes. I feel like they're just playing it safe because they know Geek Fam do have that tool as well. But Chadera!
Oh, Annabelle, sneaky one! They would thought Annabelle would be around the turtle, but he went... What?
Annabelle!
The shortcuts! Retribution connects, EVOS Glory secures it. Now Geek Fam, they are running for the hills. Take a look at Luke, soaking damage taken down. EVOS Glory, poetry in motion.
Perfectly done, perfectly executed. That ultimate of Annabelle might as well be the perfect execution because that's what they were able to do. My goodness, that was masterful. Playing around the turtle, knowing that Geek Fam will not be able to force this with EVOS having such a big lead at the start, and the forced error was just so... Oh my god, that was a nerdgasm for sure from Mirko, man. I was already like shaking my head during that play because it was just so good. They knew that they had a teleport. They knew that Geek Fam cannot force the turtle. And they knew that if they kept on posturing aggressively, Geek Fam would think that the Lancelot is around them. They would completely forget that this Lancelot can take the shortcut. So can Brands. They get rid of Chadera, and then it's a man advantage, 5v4 on top of the big level lead that Annabelle has. And he got the turtle. I don't know how he got the turtle, but he got the turtle. He was already ahead, but my god. Wow, EVOS.
It felt like Annabelle was playing Ling, the way that he was able to kill Chadera up top and then he just sprinted down bottom. But it's all, of course, due to the fact that they have the shortcut and that he was keeping it for that clutch moment to win the turtle battle. And now up 4-0 in the kills department. Now, Geek Fam, how do they respond towards EVOS's aggression?
Well, it's back again to that forcing of slow tempo, but it's tough for Geek Fam, because the thing is, even if they try to force that forced tempo, they go and clear out these side lanes, they give Chadera and a boy some space to farm. EVOS are completely fine now, just with that 5,000 gold lead as well. If both equally scale up to the 10th minute with this gold lead still being in favor of EVOS, EVOS will reach their mid-game power spike way faster than Geek Fam will reach their power spike, and that'll end up with EVOS being able to control the map even more. Remember, this is a chip. This is not a normal snowballing game. This is an EVOS Glory full double down on an early game with a chip. The snowball might be a bit too tough for Geek Fam to handle, but again, Geek Fam, we've seen them pull off crazy miracle comebacks, and it will be the same here. They will need to do that. They need to find a miracle.
All three. Last turtle here, right? 5,000 gold lead. Perfect turtle for EVOS Glory's side. And Geek Fam, for now, they know they will not take unnecessary fights. Let's just wait it out. It's a 6,000 gold lead, mind you, in 8 minutes. So yeah, things are not looking good here for Geek Fam. But they know they're ready. They will farm, especially for Chadera. 3 items, maybe then they will be ready to fight.
At this stage of the game, they don't really have the capability to fight back and just out-skirmish EVOS in a 5v5 or even a 3v3. But what are the timers of Geek Fam? What are they waiting for, Mirko?
Chadera for his 3-item power spike. Dreams. Shortcut as well. That's a good start onto Chadera.
Chadera.
Placing the wet BMI will save his life, but the turret will fall. Annabelle almost catching a body, but Bloisky will fall. Now taking to the backside, it's actually Black Dragon form trying to distract, but 2 members are already down, and they will add 1 more. 3 members out.
They either slow it down or try to match that fast pace, but if you do, the odds are against your favor. EVOS, Annabelle is online, 14, 4 levels ahead of Ray.
Yikes.
Annabelle is just rolling with the snowbally lead that he has. He's just out jungling Ray. especially as Lancelot is just playing it so swimmingly. Now for EVOS, they have all the advantages that they need to close out. I mean, they have the side lanes pushing up. Chidera is forced to answer and address the lanes pushing towards him, and you also have Fluffy just in the side lanes constantly pressuring you. So Geek Fam, they're split up. They either want to fight back or they just want to try to allocate the side laners to clear up the waves up top and down bottom.
I mean, allocating the goal towards the Claude has been what they were trying to do the whole time, right? But at this point, I think they might just have to sacrifice these tier 2 so that they can actually get the farm that they need. If the tier 2 still are up, Geek Fam can actually just play in the enemy jungle, force these sandwich plays. By the way, Annabelle is level 15 at the 10th minute of the game. This is an MPL ID Season 7 throwback, kind of from the assassins, the marksmen in the jungle, from being able to farm up to level 15 at 10 minutes. So, yeah, this snowball is getting out of control. They're almost beating the clock with that gold lead, 9.5 in 10 minutes. That'll mean that Geek Fam are going to be placed in a very similar position that they were able to force EVOS on in Game 1. It's all about waiting for a mistake at this point because this control is overwhelming.
Yeah, just like what Mirko mentioned, deja vu of game number 1. Back then it was EVOS waiting for a mistake to happen. Now it's Geek Fam on their knees, looking for something that they can leverage. But EVOS, it looks like they're playing a flawless game. They're able to just allocate the neutral objectives, they win it out, they fight systematically and using their ultimates in a way that it will be so advantageous towards them. This shortcut has been very clutch for Dreams to just help and, you know, have teammates corral behind him, try to look for fights, and it's just going well for EVOS Glory. Dreams though.
Let's see here, looking for an engage, perhaps looking for information. Geek Fam still killless, and EVOS Glory still deathless. Lord is marching bottom side. And also do know that earlier on, we talked about, Reptar talked about Chip being left open, and now take a look at the value that EVOS Glory is giving. Now Dreams though with an engage, potentially Chidera still holding on, dealing damage. But Geek Fam, this is the first Lord. I'm sure they will take care of this first Lord, no problem. Luke is looking for an engage. Oh, Annabelle jumps in. This might be almost a mistake there. I mean, Geek Fam still holds their ground.
Fleet footwork from Annabelle is just bouncing left and right. Luke!
Oh my, the damage is enough! Annabelle, what the heck? That is an assassin's job. Now Geek Fam, they will lose a member on this defense. EVOS Glory, they will eye for that mid turret. Annabelle jumps back in. Will they have enough firepower to defend this mid turret? Oh, Clock, that's a mistake! Winner's run, Chidera from Clock, take a look at the Nether Realm. Geek Fam looking for the kill. Ram 6 turret top side, but Annabelle finds a killing spree. Geek Fam lost another member. Annabelle looking for the backside. Finds a boy to claim the double.
Annabelle with the confidence. Baloyski jumping in though.
A mistake, no immortality for this guy, but he still survives. Geek Fam still holding on for 2 turrets.
What was more impressive? Geek Fam still finding a way to defend that, or Annabelle just styling on him? I can't decide. Both teams played so well. There was one loophole before the team fight that I was about to talk about, right? For EVOS, I noticed that for Clockon, he's actually going for a very defensive build. It's too defensive for how ahead they are. He went for the Bloodwings, the NOD, and the Winter Truncheon. You'd expect on the Valentina you would want to go for extra damage here, especially considering most of your damage will be physical, right? But because Clockon went for this safer, more utility-based build, you can see definitely that they were lacking a little bit of that magic damage. When Annabelle, Brands, and Fluffy try to go in to deal damage, Geek Fam were actually able to withstand that because they rushed a lot of these physical defense items like the anti-Cuirass all the way straight up from the get-go. We have a game fact though.
Game fact by GoPay. Chidera becomes the player with the most plot picks 70 times in MPL ID Season 13 with the highest win rate as well. So yeah, Chidera has been with his power pick, with his comfortable pick in the first 2 games, but this time, not in this game. This game, he hasn't really been able to find the angle. Sure, he had a few blazing duets, but a jump in though.
Fluffy wants to pull the trigger here, realizing that, oh, take a look at Baloyski. Now you see him, now you're gone again. Annabelle claims a double. Now with the shortcut, perhaps he might looking for the third member, and Annabelle collects a third. Franz now on the other side.
Wipeout.
Finds one, and Luke, one man standing. Dragon against 5 White Tigers. Overwhelmed, and Evo's Glory will find glory in game number 2. With this, the series stands to 1-1.
The White Tigers claw back, and they bite back the villains. The villains flawless no more, as EVO's Glory take game number 2. We're all still tied up 1-1.
1-1, an equalizer by EVO's Glory up against Geek Fam, and it's done with a very risky composition to pull off, yet they pulled it off. That utility build for the Valentina still ended up great. And actually in that team fight, that was probably the highest chance that Geek Fam had to actually turn things around. That was a bit of nature already built for Chidera, but still. The fact that the export dove in together with Annabelle created a big shroud where they were unable to really react to so many effects happening in your face with a nature not popped just there. And I think Reptar definitely has a lot to say about this game.
Oh, for sure, dude. I doubted that Lancelot pick, but I was reminded by Annabelle, Reptar, you are in MPL Indonesia. You are not back home where assassins shine in this region. And Annabelle was an absolute star. That 5 minutes and 45 seconds perfect play that EVOS committed, that shortcut, the fact that they waited for Annabelle and EVOS to get the pickoff onto Chidera, topside, before they committed the shortcut in the turtle just in time for Annabelle to go through retribution. And then in 12 minutes and 13 seconds, Annabelle signed his name under the base turret up top to take down Luke. And of course, 7 minutes in, the man was already 4 levels ahead of the Fredrin. He's the MVP of the game. If he isn't, I don't know anymore.
I don't know what else he needs to do, right?
I don't know what else he needs to do.
Wow.
No.
It feels like, I feel like Annabelle was playing a game of Ling. It feels like pseudo Ling because you have the shortcut to just catch up with your teammates. You know, you have the Finch poise usually, but with Lancelot, you don't have that much of a mobility. Maybe only the puncture or the Phantom Execution. But then again, when you have the shortcut, it really helps you gather and rendezvous with your teammates together. And the fact that he was able to just out-jungle and out-level Ray was beyond spectacular, especially picking Lancelot up in a lower bracket final.
You know, Mirko mentioned that that was quite of a risky lineup that he was drafted. And I feel like if the young GOAT Carl Teasy was watching this game right now and he saw the Lancelot of Annabelle, he'd probably go, not bad. And coming from Carl Teasy, that's already like a massive props coming to the young man.
That's crazy props, right? I mean, the fact that Annabelle was able to perform so well on that Lancelot, and for Geek Fam, it's not like they didn't have any winning conditions. I would say it's different to game number 1, right? Game number 1, it looked like EVOS were just lost in the draft. Game number 2, Geek Fam still had those winning conditions. If they were able to weather a storm in the early game, look for some of the trades, you know, keep the goalie from going crazy, they would have had the late game, actually. It's a Claude. They have so many different ways to actually take the game, but unfortunately, Annabelle happened. Chip happened with Annabelle, 7-1-7. That number is always usually a way to disrespect EVOS. 7. But this time, it seems Annabelle will be using it to brag.
The spirit of 7 is strong with him, but he came up with a top-tier performance. You mentioned in game number 1, it felt like EVOS were lost in the draft. It feels like here in game number 2, Geek Fam were lost for the first 6 minutes of the game. It was kind of perplexing to me how Beloyski's heat map for the first 6 minutes was literally center and objectives. I feel like Geek Fam could have done more for the side lanes, especially knowing that they were already losing in the center of the map. But I feel like that's one of the things Geek Fam likes to do, where, you know what, we lost the first one, it's okay, we'll get him the next, because 2 minutes 50 seconds there was a trade. The greedy flicker by Beloyski to try and get a kill into the mid, that caused them to lose a little bit of the advantage that they could have had with the Minotaur having a flicker by the first turtle. And it hurts even more because both junglers, weirdly enough, were super early with their retributions in Turtle 1. Then it was Clawcoon, the Valentina, that got the last hit on Turtle 1. After that, it was just all EVOS playing their comfort game, which is around the objectives.
And we don't get to see it in the highlights here because we go straight to Turtle number 2, because I think there are a bit too many highlights to fit in this highlight segment for this game especially. But I do want to bring attention to that first turtle. The fact that Geek Fam were taking it so slow, they tried to deny the farm, but then they forced a team fight. they really need to stay a little bit more disciplined in that way. I can definitely see that work, right? If they want to deny that invade potential, get all the buffs, and then go for the neutral objective, it would have worked out. But yeah, Maloyski flickered a bit too far, shades of his old name and greed, and they were punished for it. That one sin, that deadly sin that ended up with Evo's Glory getting a big power spike at the start, because again, a 1,000 gold lead, a 2,000 gold lead at the first 3 minutes of the game for this composition is deadly, and we saw exactly that. Annabelle, 5 levels ahead, a BOD War Axe first item, man, there was just so much damage. We were talking about the diversity of damage not being there because of the utility build. They didn't need it.
Yeah.
Oh my god, bro. Chidera just got melted. Even if he popped the Wind of Nature, I think the true damage would have went through anyways.
Yeah,
then Annabelle took control.
Man, EVOS, well, we were talking about mentality when it came to Geek Fam. EVOS definitely showed a lot of great mentality for this game number 2, knowing that what happened in game number 1, you're going to this game, you draft a lineup that's pure dive. The closest you get to poke is Roger if he was in human form. And you pointed out, Mirko, the item pathing of the Valentina. As the game went on, I understood it. Yeah, the damage would have been great, but for him, it's like, I already have the damage. The Lancelot's already leading. We have the light pokes coming in from the chip. The Roger's already there. So for Clockun, it's like his job was, I'll be the one to dish out those risky little pokes, those little hints of Terrify. I'll be the utility, but I don't need the damage. And that decision, I feel like, just goes to show the adjustment ability of Clockun. I remember earlier in the playoffs, I believe that was yesterday or in day 2, he was wondering, it's like, oh, thanks for giving me the low E because the low E is not a power pick for me. For me, it was like, it feels like you played that like a power pick. He made the low E look like a power pick, and now he made this Valentina with defensive item priorities as a power pick.
This has to be a power pick for him, though, because the Valentina has been one of the shining heroes for him in the regular season. And towards the end, he did get that Divine Glaive, right? Although I think he got that Divine Glaive when the enemy team was already wiped out. But hey, it counts as damage still. The Bloodwings was also able to let him survive, but I also want to draw attention to that first item, War Axe for the Lancelot. Even though he started off so early with a big lead, he still kept to that War Axe because he knows that even if he has a 2,000 gold lead, most of these team fights up against Geek Fam will be a little bit longer. They have a Minotaur, they have a Paramis. You mentioned that double stacking Gani of heals, double utility, and they use that with the Yuzong too, that sustain. But because Evo's Glory, Annabelle went for the War Axe early, he was ready. He was well equipped for those long team fights, and he actually got value out of the long team fights up against Geek Fam. It was really well played. The way that they played the map, the way that they forced Geek Fam to go for these engages. It's a risky draft, but I guess when you have the skill to pull it off, it's not really as risky as it looked initially.
Overall, what a recovery, right, from Evo's
Amazing
Glory
recovery,
after that convincing win from Geek Fam Game 1. But, Luke, wow, after a convincing, solid start, this Yuzong just wasn't it. Unfortunately, that Yuzong pick, yeah, sure, you can zone, but who are you to really trying to zone out here? Because the Valentina can juke you out, plus the flicker, chip, I don't care. Sure, you can zone out the Roger, but you know what? It's not really a significant, influential pick. And with that, you can see here the value that Luke gives in Game 1
compared to Game 2
wasn't evident in Game 2.
Definitely, and I think we did also highlight this. Fluffy, a pillar, very consistent. Luke, a bit more volatile, or actually way more volatile. He either carries the game, but sometimes he loses the game for the team. But in this case, I wouldn't go to such extreme lengths, right? It was just unfortunate. As an XP laner, he wasn't even really given the time to go and fight in these team fights. Evo's Glory were already getting the lead on the other side of the map before he can even say anything about it. And yeah, I think for Luke, he has fixed a lot of those discipline issues. It's just now Geek Fam need to calm down again, try to look for the reset and adapt to game number 2. Maybe game number 3, they don't let the chip open. But so far, actually a good topic, I think, to ask Renmar, because in MPLPH as well, blue side was 100% win rate for the first 2 days.
Yeah.
But then towards the end, red side became more valuable.
Yeah, it's actually interesting to see that in terms of a blue side, red side debate for MPLPH and MPL Indonesia. Like, I revisited your season stats. We're in somewhat the same place, because by the end of the by the end of the playoffs of MPLPH, blue side was the one that had the more wins. For the longest time, it was red. Then, as you mentioned, it went red, blue, then back to red. I feel like then it goes back to the idea and the discussion of the trading of the power picks, the flexibility on the red side. On blue side, it's like because of how the power picks look, it's like okay, you know where they're going. The swerves on the blue side aren't that crazy. The swerves on the red side even more so now. So maybe if Geek Fam goes back to the red side, that's where they can play a few more surprises. Excuse me. If they can flex more the surprises that they can dish out on the red side, should be better. That's right? Yeah. There we go.
Great analysis, of course, from our analyst desk. You know, Mirko and Renmar. But if you want to watch the analysis much more better, you can watch it on Samsung TV, where you can have an intense session. But experiencing constant lag, of course, it can all be sorted out by Samsung TV, because mobile gaming is better on TV. You can win any game with the FreeSync Premium Pro and Motion Accelerator Turbo Pro from Neo QLED, making movement smoother and preventing stuttering. Experience more in gaming with Samsung TV. And of course, back on stage is Clara Mongstar and Moko for an interview. Take it away.
Pada mau diamond kayak, oh bukan diamond ya, membagikan skin. Diamond dalam bentuk skin.
Yes dong, kan kalau mau butuh skin harus butuh diamond. Tapi kali ini langsung skin ya.
Skin gratis untuk kalian semua. Mau? Sekali lagi mau skin gratis, Super Fans.
Tapi tentunya ada syaratnya dong, Bude.
Tentu saja syaratnya adalah perwakilan dari audiens harus bertanding melawan perwakilan dari MPL. Jika perwakilan dari audiens menang, tentu saja skin gratis akan dibagikan. Tapi kalau perwakilan dari MPL yang menang, wah sayang sekali, harus di hold dulu. Mungkin besok chance-nya mereka bisa menang.
Yes, dan tentunya kemarin kita sudah melihat ya beberapa hari dari Day One MPL Playoff, kita sudah ada perwakilan dari MPL Indonesia. Tapi kali ini kayaknya spesial juga ya perwakilan kali ini, Bude.
Betul, jadi kita akan memperkenalkan terlebih dahulu nih. Inilah dia perwakilan kita dari MPL untuk hari ini. Datang dari panggung MPL setelah 5 season menghiasi panggung MPL, pada akhirnya inilah dia. Seseorang the most wanted di MPL di panggung dan sekarang hadir di sini untuk beradu. Halo.
Halo.
Biasanya kita nggak pernah dengar suaranya ya.
Iya,
Gayanya aja. Hup. Oke. Master Danang,
Iya, Bude.
selamat datang.
Iya.
Apakah ingin menunjukkan kebolehan sebagai pro player?
Bukan.
Ini mau ajak audiens main Johnson sih. Kan sering banget tes game tuh sama pro player kan. Mau nunjukin aja kalau Marcel itu juga jago banget.
Mau menyaingi pro player kira-kira nih ya.
Itu
Dari
dia.
Marcel beralih, tapi hari ini ya khusus karena mewakili MPL Indonesia. Tapi kan tadi udah Master Danang kan bilang mau melawan audiens. Coba langsung Master Danang memilih audiens yang ingin ditantang dalam video play Johnson Race kali ini.
Nih kira-kira ada yang berani gak nih Bewan nih?
Widih. Widih,
Ada nih, coba angkat tangan dong yang berani Bewan
Siapa
dong.
yang berani? Siapa nih?
Kita cari dulu ya.
Langsung aja ya. Dicari, dipilih.
Siapa nih ya?
Kalau kemarin
Siapa yang bisa
Novoa
gendong nih
milihnya
audiens?
cewek.
Master Danang kira-kira kali ini akan memilih. Wah banyak nih yang pengen ikutan by one sama Master Danang. Dan sudah dipilih. Inilah yang akan ditantang oleh Master Danang.
Ini kriteria cari lawan tuh apa sih?
Harus yang siap gendong semua audiens sih.
Apakah kamu siap?
Siap.
Namanya siapa?
Taki.
Taki asalnya mana?
Dari Palembang.
Jauh-jauh dari Palembang. Datang ke sini untuk memenangkan Johnson Race ini kah?
Iya, itu utamanya ini.
Terpanggil ya, karena dari hari pertama kita udah mengadakannya loh.
Ya tapi Danang gimana? Udah ready banget. Ini kenapa bisa akhirnya milih Taki nih tadi? Apa yang menarik perhatian kamu?
Kelihatan badannya gede sih, kayak jago banget nih main Johnson ya nih.
Jago nggak?
Insya Allah.
Insya Allah. Apakah top global?
Enggak, tapi udah sering.
Marshall Danang, seperti Anda salah memilih lawan karena dia udah biasa mainin Johnson. Apakah role kamu, Romer?
Betul.
Betul. Namun jauh-jauh dari Palembang, ke sini? Apakah kamu mendukung salah satu tim atau ingin merasakan panggung MPL?
Yang pertama pasti ingin merasakan, terus yang kedua dukung salah satu tim yaitu Geek Fam.
Geek Community dari Palembang. Coba dong disapa arek-arek Palembang pakai bahasa Palembang.
Halo Wong kita kalau.
Halo, banyak yang nyaut loh, banyak dari Palembang nih kayaknya.
Artinya apa artinya?
Saudara kita semua.
Halo saudara kita semua.
Danang mau balas pakai bahasa apa nih?
Nggak ada sih, saya lahir di Jakarta soalnya.
Mending Anda balasnya pakai gaya Anda saja.
Marshall Danang.
Oke, ini menarik pastinya karena di Kidia Play Johnson Race by Samsung. Apa kira-kira kunci kemenanganmu hari ini? Apa yang kira-kira bisa menjadi motivasimu?
Mungkin motivasi aku sih pasti coba dari skinnya sih yang pasti.
Oke, membagikan skin dan ini adalah rulesnya, jadi akan ada 3 round in total. Startnya dari tengah, kalian tinggal puterin base kalian, putar. Nah, sampai pada akhirnya yang sampai duluan 3 kali di tengah itulah yang menang.
3 kali ya, 3 lap. Udah ready kalian berdua?
Ready.
Ready. Jadi, semua yang ada di sini, mari kita bersama-sama menghitung dari 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, start! Wah, udah langsung ngegas aja nih. Ninu. Ngeng. Lah. Danang, katanya biasa tes game sama pro player.
Ngepur doang ini. Biarin yang jauh dulu.
Kamu
Nanti
di pur.
balap lagi.
Kamu mau ini kah? Iya, baru mau bilang. Jadi di sini tuh belum ada yang bisa terus-terusan tanpa nabrak. Kamu tadi kenapa nabrak?
Nggak sengaja kayaknya.
Gak sengaja, tapi udah 1 lap nih.
Ayo Danang
tinggal 2 lagi.
dikejar, apa yang terjadi?
Ini berusaha ngejar nih.
Danang, baru 1 lap.
Baru 1 lap.
Ini ngegas dan brem. Ayo apakah kamu sudah hafal map Mobile Legend?
Kebetulan hafal sih. Karena kan sering pakai Johnson juga. Jadi sebenarnya udah tahu sih beberapa jalan pintasnya. Tapi karena ini ngikutin alur tracknya jadi kita harus ngikutin gitu.
Wow, dan ini Taki udah 2 lap, Danang masih ketinggalan. Danang, gimana nih? Ini apa kayak Taki ini saingan berat kamu ini apa gimana?
Berat banget ini. Kemarin pun kayak lawan Kibo itu Johnsonnya kalah Kibo itu sebenarnya tuh.
Danang, ayo Danang. Demi nama MPL nih, kamu perwakilan kita semua Danang. Danang dan namun audiens kita, perwakilan dari audiens sudah mendapatkan 3 lap.
Wow, ini berarti menang dan berarti semua di sini mendapatkan skin gratis.
Wah, udah. Selesai. Kamu mau berapa lap?
Nanti Bude sampai nabrak ini.
Tabrakin. Ini skin lebih penting karena kita akan membagikan skin karena kamu. Bagaimana memenangkan Johnson Race ini karena dari kemarin ya audiens udah berapa hari gagal loh.
Yang pasti seneng teman-teman juga bisa dapat skin.
Dan inilah dia skin yang bisa kalian redeem sekarang juga. Silakan redeem semuanya bisa yang ada di sini. Keluarkan Samsung kalian, keluarkan semuanya langsung saja kalian redeem dengan kode yang ada di layar.
Kapan lagi skin gratis ya. Dan tentunya kami pasti akan membagikan skin gratis karena ini akan juga ada Kidia Play Johnson Race besok hari. Yang mana kalau ingin skin gratis pokoknya langsung datang. Pokoknya di Velodrome Jakarta kita nonton bareng, kita lihat bagaimana keseruan dari Grand Final besok hari. Dan siapa tahu kalian pulang-pulang bisa bawa pulang skin gratis seperti hari ini.
Dan kasih dong kata-kata untuk hari ini.
Tetap semangat, jangan menyerah.
Itu untuk Anda berarti ya. Tetap semangat, jangan menyerah. Untuk lanjutan match hari ini, apakah ada yang mau disampaikan?
Luke, jangan lupa makan pempek.
Langsung disemangatin dengan mukbang pempek kah? Namun siapakah yang akan mukbang di game yang ketiga? Karena tentu saja perjalanan dari kedua tim seperti teriset. Harus ada yang mencari poin tambahan demi tambahan untuk bisa memenangkan Best of 5 series ini. Jadi, apakah kalian siap untuk menyaksikan game ketiga? Mari kita sambut, inilah dia dari Geek Fam dan juga EVOS Glory.
Daenang, you've let us down, man. You let us down.
I can't believe it, Danang. I won, man. Come on. I won my match. Won his match as well. Gani didn't, but I guess, you know, Danang learned a few lessons from you instead of me and Omawa.
Hey, we took an L, but the audience got the dub.
Yeah,
True,
of course.
true.
The audience, they're entitled to a free skin after Danang's loss. I don't think it's a loss, it's a net win for everybody. But it's not a net win for Geek Fam because they were struggling with that composition. I would say that they were, you know, set up for success, but it was so hard for them to just, you know, re-engage with the draft that they have. But of course, for the people coming into the Velodrome, especially when we have Reptar over the desk, he can, of course, enjoy the benefits of GoPay with the new GoPay app, packing damage and packing punches. So you can join the Vote Your Champion event during every playoffs match in the GoPay app, and everyone has a chance to win free GoPay coins up to 10K. Vote Your Champion opens at 10 a.m. daily with prizes including GoPay coins and smartphones. You can also enjoy 100 times transfers to any account and the cheapest phone credit. I mean, they're trying to figure out the GoPay app because Renmar or Reptar is still here for a few days, and he's just trying to find out how he can does his transactions with the GoPay app.
Isn't really familiar here, Reptar. Miracle, thank you for introducing the GoPay app to Renmar. Now he can take advantage of exciting promos for topping up diamonds with GoPay.
Scanning the QR code.
He's scanning the QR code. And he can also come to the Velodrome. And don't forget to stop by the GoPay booth because there are plenty of exciting activities from a lucky spin with prizes like a GoPay balance up to 500K, 500,000 rupiah, and cool merchandise, to fun matches and meet and greets with influencers and brand ambassadors. For Depok residents who can't make it to the Velodrome, GoPay is also hosting #Nonton Bareng GoPay, a watch party on June 8, 2024 at Kopi Bento Depok.
That's the day.
That is today. So you guys, if you're in Depok area or just check that out and
head on over.
Go. I've been using GoPay all my life, man.
Yeah.
Renmar, you should download it.
Yeah, I have a pro tip. Since I use GoPay now for like a solid minute, I have a pro tip for you. Change the language from Bahasa Indonesia.
There you go. So that's why you were kind of struggling a little bit.
Because you didn't change the language setting for me. Thanks, Miracle.
It's unfortunate, but sometimes you just got to learn it the hard way, right? But something that you don't need to learn the hard way is our Discord with Kadia. By clicking the link below or scanning the QR code, now I'll give you your Samsung phone back, sir. You can scan the QR code again, and this time it should be in English, right? So go ahead and scan it, or you can just type it. It really depends. Eterna usually wants to type the whole thing. She doesn't like scanning the QR code for some reason, Gani. But let's see what Reptar does. Okay, he's scanning the QR code. There you go. That's the normal way, right?
So convenient.
Right, exactly. Why would you make it hard?
Guy, the Samsung UI is in Bahasa Indonesia. Help a brother out here,
it's
man.
Okay,
Come
it's okay.
on.
I got you.
Come on.
So buka means open. So you want to open that link. There you go, right? Instead of changing it, you gotta learn Indonesian, man.
All right, I will do my best. Saya masih belajar bahasa Indonesia, sorry.
It's very easy. You can join in discussions with like-minded gamers about everything gaming. Now, of course, back to the game. You know, Geek Fam, they were set up for success with that draft, and I had my initial doubts towards EVOS because they did not have an enabler, a hard engage that could just pull Geek Fam towards them. But it was more of Geek Fam just being battered down. It was them diving towards Geek Fam. How did they manage to pull that off?
I honestly feel like Annabelle is saying, oh, no engager? That's me. Who's our hard engage? Me.
I'm the engager now.
Yeah, I'm the engager now. And like, again, when you're playing a Lancelot into a lineup like that, you're gonna have some big cojones. You really can't hesitate. You're gonna want the really make sure you get to time those iframes so that you don't get caught out by the members of Geek Fam. And again, for the side of Geek, I like what Mirko said earlier. Calm it down.
Yeah.
Because their greedy tendencies early on really cost them the early objectives, which allowed Annabelle to run wild, really, and set EVOS up, ironically enough, for success when the lineup of EVOS should really be struggling against the lineup for Geek Fam. I think now also, I don't know if they're going to be playing the Yuzong into the Xborg lineup matchup now, because for that game number 2, it really looked like Fluffy had Luke's number as an Xborg against the YZ.
But this is, of course, Indonesia's representatives through the MSC series from time to time. 2017, we had Elite 8, Saints Indo, that was so old, the Pioneers. And then, of course, throughout the seasons, we have familiar faces, RRQ, EVOS, Onyx, Bigatron Alpha, for one time, Mirko. And they're trying to fight back to MSC, but, you know, it's getting hard for them now.
0 for 1 for you, 2 for 3 for me. All right?
Hey, you know what? I agree with Mirko. M6 Strat.
M6 Strat.
They're
There you
playing
go.
late game.
They're playing late game.
And that's what Geek Fam need to do as well. Welcome back, Mamang Garok. Twing, anjay. Menghilang. Oh, mati, cok. Halo. Langsung ada, ada orang langsung ada nongol. Halo. Oh, begini sih basecampnya. Oh, muka gue yang jelek ya? Saya suka. Halo, mamangku. Ambil diamond. Jangan sampai lupa ya guys ya. Tuh. Anjay 20.
Mana Bang itu ya? Bang Damdet, mana Bang Damdet? Bang Damdet.
Ampun pu, sepuh.
Suara bagus banget, Cok.
Ampun pu, sepuh. Ampun pu, sepuh.
Dah.
Ampun pu, sepuh.
Ampun pu, sepuh. Gol, Cok. Ini yang gol, Cok. Winnya udah 15 ini. Gue reset aja. Gua ngeri, Cok.